And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about what Dan Quinn had to say about the Commanders and their success. But a quick update here, if you haven't already heard, Jonathan Allen, defensive tackle, is going to be out for the remainder of the season with a torn pectoral muscle. So that is huge. He did make a ton of plays for us up front. And, he has really played a lot of games for the Commanders. This is only, I think, the second time in his career where he has not played 15 games or more. And so that is a tough loss for the Commanders up front. Obviously, they are going to need to try to find a way to replace him, especially as this defense tries to find its way, really tries to find its identity. And so that is going to be a tough loss. And so now, as we shift focus here, let's look at what Dan Quinn had to say about the recent success of the Commanders. And, I must say, I totally agree with some of the things he's talking about here. One of the things he is talking about is really the fight that the Commanders really showed in a loss versus the Ravens. So this is recently. And I totally agree with that. I think that there were some definite learning lessons in this one for the Commanders. And I think that what they learned from this loss, it is going to be something that is going to help the Commanders for the long term. I think that in both the losses with the Ravens and then also to the Bucks, I have liked the way that Jaden Daniels has really responded in those situations. I do feel like, in this last loss, if the Washington Commanders could have got the football back, I totally believe that Jaden Daniels would have given us a chance in this football game. And I know it's got to be about more than Jaden Daniels, but that is a key takeaway, right? It's about the offense, it's about finishing. And that is one of the things that Dan Quinn talks about in this particular piece. He talks about, we have to find ways to finish games, right? And you have to find a way to get to that next level. And I think that that does come with experience because this is going back to what I was listening to on Locked On Commanders. And, the Commanders went in, and I think that they did not get the max amount of points that they could have gotten each drive. Obviously, one of the field goals was blocked in this recent loss against the Ravens. And so that's one of the things that you have to correct. You have to find ways to score touchdowns. I think that the Ravens scored 6 out of their 7 times going down the field. And so, I think that elite teams are teams that take it to the next level. They find ways to finish drives. They find ways to get into the end zone. And that's something that the Washington Commanders are going to have to build on. And then also, too, I think from an identity standpoint, they're going to have to lean a lot into what has made them successful. I think one of the things that not a lot of people are talking about is the Commanders' ability to run the football. And I know that they didn't have Brian Robinson Jr. in this particular contest. But, I think that it was something, again, on Locked On Commanders, talking about the fact that the Commanders went out of the 56 play calls or whatever they had, about 70 something percent of those were actual pass calls. And so, you can't just go and look and pass the football. I know that Jaden Daniels had a high completion rate. In fact, I think he led the NFL at 77%. But you have to still run the football. And you give the Ravens credit. I totally understand that too. But you do have to continue to keep pounding on the defense. And I think that that's something that the Commanders are going to have to do as well. When you talk about finishing games, you talk about trying to find that next gear. You have to do the things that that got you to the party. And that is one of the things that got the Commanders there. It's running the football. So I'm hoping that they're able to establish that next week. And, he talks about getting to the next gear as a team. And I think one of the things that's going to take the Commanders to the next gear is trying to find a way to get better defensively. All right. Because, I think getting the first turnover with Mike Sainristil was huge. I think that, to me, Mike Sainristil is taking a huge step. I'm starting to see a lot of the things that I saw on tape in Michigan with his ability to come up, be huge in the run support, and also to make some plays like that. I think he used to play wide receiver for the University of Michigan. So I think that he's going to get better as time goes along. But defensively, with what Dan Quinn was able to do with the Dallas Cowboys, we've got to figure something out because we've looked good over the last couple weeks, and I would argue that we actually looked pretty good in this one. But there were some things that we absolutely should have taken away. Clearly, we knew that that Derrick Henry was going to come in. He was going to want to pound the football against us, and that's something that we had to be ready to take away. But give the Ravens a lot of credit. I think that when you look back, you look at the tape, there were some things that we did. We weren't disciplined in the way that we pursued and things like that, kind of gave them some openings that way. And so I think that that's some stuff that we absolutely have to clean up. And I think that, again, the defense has got to get better with turning the football over. The secondary, we gave up a lot of splash plays again, and that's something that we have got to get away from. I think that it was a tough one for Benjamin St. Just. Again, I think he had like a couple pass interference calls or something like that. But anyhow, it's about cleaning that up and getting better. And I think that that is going to help this team get to the next level. Obviously, we're in year one with Dan Quinn. So anything that we do in this year is going to be a plus for us. And again, I think that there's so many things that you take away from this. And, he talks about, again, just the ability to, take what you get from these losses. And I think that seeing the composure, seeing how this offense competed, being down and stuff like that, I think that that's something that I think Washington Commanders fans can really be proud of. And I think that you can just tell, just from the identity of this team, it has certainly changed from the teams that we have seen in the past. This is not the same team. And I think it starts with the top and just really trickles down to the bottom. So, kudos to the ownership and the way that they've taken care of business. And so I think that that is something that you're going to continue to see throughout this season. And so, as we get ready for the Carolina Panthers, I think that just point number one that we need to try to get back to after a tough loss is just to get back to that identity on the offensive end. We got to make sure that we can continue to run the football. And so we'll see a little bit more as to what is going on with Brian Robinson Jr. Hopefully he plays. If not, then that means that we have to utilize players like Jeremy McNichols or Austin Eckler, who had actually a pretty good start. We got to get back to running that football. And then I think that, defensively, we're just going to have to try to figure out a way to just really continue to execute the little details of the game, and also to, continue to try to get to a point where we are turning the football over. Hopefully these are things that the Commanders can really build off of. So let me know in the comments what you were thinking. Washington Commanders getting ready to take on the Carolina Panthers at home. Should be pretty exciting. But hey, again, we're 4-2, and I think that we are going to, get past the expectations that were set on this team. I definitely like the way that things are building out, and I certainly think that there are a lot of things that are trending in the right direction here. So let me know. This is Rico. This is Washington Commanders Insider. We'll be talking a little bit more about the Washington Commanders on the next one. Peace.